Right, we are back. Oh my gosh. I really am trying to keep it kosher with you guys. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for joining me. I know we are here in the beautiful Black Forest, and today's topic, gaslighting. I know I had done a special on therapy and talking about why therapy is important and if it's something that is for you. Oh my gosh. There's just so much going on here. God, I have to like all right, let me just do it like this. Okay, yeah, so I found my notes. Today's video is brought to you by me. Okay, so I'm really excited to be getting this video done. I got my daughter here. We are at home, right? Want to say hi? My daughter, Polly, Apollonia, come say hi.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, and
Hi.
bye. Yeah. All right. So today we're going to be talking about gaslighting. And so, what is gaslighting and how do you know it's happening to you? I know my anchor video talked a lot about having a sense of uncertainty and not having a sense of reality or feeling like reality. See, this is why I told her she can't be in the video because this ain't gonna work with you announcing your farts and stuff like that. All right. So we're just having a nice, candid conversation. I pulled up a website on www.nbc and it keeps reloading every time I go to the top. So I just gotta start from the top. Hopefully, there's a Wikipedia version. Maybe there's a Wikipedia. Oh, Christ. Okay, so this all came up because a friend of mine was asking me, how do you know that you were gaslighting? Another person that I knew actually had told me that they feel like this had happened to them and they wanted me to like get into some of the details of like some kind of like a checklist. So as soon as I can figure out my life here, it's more common than people think it is, and so I don't want people to feel like it is this or it is that. I mean, okay, so here it is. Oh my notes. Oh my gosh. Gaslighting is a colloquialism that is loosely defined as making someone question their reality. The term is also used informally to describe someone, a gaslighter, who is persistently puts forth a false narrative which leads another person or a group of people to doubt their own perceptions to the extent of becoming disoriented and distressed. This dynamic is generally only possible when the audience is vulnerable, such as in unequal power relationships, or when the audience is fearful or loses associated with challenging the false narrative. Gaslighting is not necessarily malicious or intentional, although in some cases it is. All right, Wikipedia. Sure. I think that would be the last sentence. I definitely disagree with. I think most gaslighters know that they're doing this and they use this as a way to control and manipulate because that is the way that they interact with people, especially people they're in relationships with. Now, as a disclaimer, before I get into some of the checklists, so to speak, to look out for, I just want to let everybody know that I'm not a therapist, a psychologist. I am a life coach, and these are some of the things that I coach people on addressing. The first step to addressing these issues in therapy with your therapist or your life coach, whichever comes first, is to first accept your power and level of accountability in your own life so that you can be able to unpack, deal with, help, and solve and live a better, fuller, and more peaceful life. All right, so the first thing that I think, in no particular order, you have to look out for when it comes to feeling like there's a sense of disorientation or lack of not feeling like your reality is being you're feeling like a sense of loss of reality is that the person may use statements like, I never said that. You get into a situation with someone and you know what they said, and when you go back and revisit conversation, they may give you the impression to very, very extreme extents to make you feel like you did not, that they did not say the thing that they said that they said. And you well know that they flat out lied about, how conversations go and how certain agreements are made, and you find yourself always having to either record or screenshot or keep receipts on conversations and agreements that you have with this person. That is one of the main issues of gaslighters that I think is one of the most dangerous, because if you're a person who's in a relationship with someone that knows that you've gone through some kind of trauma, and they may use that in very subtle ways to control and manipulate the relationship with you, this is something that you definitely have to look for. And validating yourself can come by speaking to a therapist and a friend, having certain checks and balances. But usually, a gaslighter is also very sociopathic and use their control and manipulation to. I just literally paused myself. Anyway, so they spend a great deal of the beginning of the relationship studying your behavior, and it might come across like I have said before in my anchor. I think it was my anchor podcast. It may come across. So this person may actually be very charming, but they have some sociopathic tendencies. I can make a video just on that alone, but I will not be addressing sociopathic behavior in this video. I'm going to just stick with, maybe you might want to Google some traits of a sociopath or a psychopath, and what those differences are. But these people usually tend to be the biggest gaslighters because they are extremely extremely good at playing on your emotions, observing what makes you tick, and using that against you. Another general, very easy one to recognize is, I wonder how to put this subtly, is the art of comparison. Okay, I don't know if you guys have seen the 1944 movie Gaslighting, which is what the um, psychological behavior is based on, where the man actually has a housekeeper or a maid that is coming into the room, and the wife is there, and he compliments the wife almost to the point of flirting. You will find that your gaslighter actually will do a lot of this public comparison or humiliation that only is detectable by you. So any other person may see it as something that's just, oh, he's paying her a compliment, or he's just being nice, or she's just, being funny and witty. Maybe, yeah, it's a little bit of a slight of joke at the expense of their partner, but this is definitely something that the partner becomes irritable at. And no one around you can really understand why it is you are being, the person being gaslighted is getting so worked up about this simple act or behavior, because it is a personal inside trigger between you and your partner, and this is why they do it, to discredit you and to make them look in comparison like the more sane or rational and more behaved person. Yeah. Again, I was going to put a disclaimer out, and then I had to deal with something. I don't know if you noticed the break in the video earlier. My disclaimer is that I'm not a psychologist or a therapist. I'm a life coach dealing specifically with relationships with your partner and your children and teenagers. And I just want to say that if you are experiencing some of these issues and are suffering from psychological distress or mental stresses over these kinds of things, I would recommend that you seek therapy and a social support group that can help you to overcome some of these abuses. Accountability, guys, it's a big part of some of the things that we need to start to do. When I was being gaslighted, I spent a great deal of time after the relationship had ended blaming that person. You know, I don't actually blame that person now, you know. I mostly give myself not the blame but the responsibility to actually have better relationships with people and to really have better conversations with the people that I am in the relationship with. That can only come if you have certain personal clarity and sense of um, self awareness. I won't say self confidence because I talk a lot about femininity on my anchor page, and I think that femininity is something that can really help women to understand how to not have certain conversations with men because it's a dangerous rabbit hole down an area where you become more emotionally vulnerable to the person that you're having this argument with because it's not your place to be having this discussion with them. They're men and they're boys. And so women shouldn't have conversations with men who don't know that they're, men and who act like boys. And you should just understand that this is a losing battle from the beginning and you should try to, as quickly as possible, get away from these people. All right. Understanding the level of inequalities. Also is a German word. I'm very sorry about that. So, anyways, yes, so the dynamic is generally only possible when the audience is vulnerable, such as in unequal power relationships. So maybe a boss, maybe a mother and a child, or um, yeah, a person in a position of power can definitely use gaslighting in a way to make you feel like manipulated. I actually had a supervisor who was really good at that. It was very, very, very stressful. And I'm going to talk about gaslighting in the workplace in another video. This one is specifically geared towards relationships. And it can get really, really complicated if you're in a dynamic where you feel like your partner has more power over you, so to speak. Let's say you're in a relationship with a person where you feel like, or you've been made to feel like you can't do better. That's actually a very sticky one because that is subjective. But if you feel personally like, oh, I can't do better than this person, I have to stay and take whatever it is they give me, is it really worth being in this relationship? I don't want to give bad advice and say you're better off alone. You know, since we're in the pandemic and everything, you gotta take what you can get. No, I would never say that. I would never say that. I would say though that if you're feeling emotional, mental distress from a relationship that you have been in, and most of your interaction with this person since the time that you have been with this person has been this kind of um, battle of what is real and what isn't, then it may be time to reconsider why it is you are with this person and what it is that you're really, what's the real trade off for having your mental state of mind being questioned every single time you have to interact with this person. So, you might also find that you are feeling like you might find it difficult to make decisions on your own. I know this may be a very tricky one, but maybe if you're how far are we in now? Are we at number 4? So far, I have about, let me see, how much do I have here? I have about 4 more. So if you're already halfway down the list, maybe you might want to take consideration as to what's really going on in your relationship. But the next one is, if you find it difficult to make decisions on your own without your partner's approval, and I know if you're married and you're like me, where you feel like you can't make a decision without your partner, it really is circumstantial. Like, I just got an email from my husband saying he's working late, you know? Sometimes my daughter likes to wait up for him. Sometimes he just, forgets to get the bus or whatever. That's circumstantial. Like, that's not a big deal. He can decide whether or not he wants to work late. I mean, we live from his paycheck, so that's fine. Um, But if you're going out to buy a shirt for your partner and you feel like, I don't want to get the wrong one, because if I get the wrong one, it's going to be this big thing, and then I have to take it back, and then I have to hear how stupid I am. Um, you know, if you find more and more that you're not able to make decisions on your own without this person's approval, there might be chances that might be something that you want to take into consideration and look over. Um, you're becoming more and more withdrawn and unsociable. I know that sometimes you might feel like, I'm gonna do a video on this. What's the social construct and context, and how you as your who in your wow, that was some rice and beans bullshit right there. Let's try this again. What is the context in which we interact with other people? And how do we interact with other people as a couple? How do we handle disagreements when we're in public, as partner and as family? Um, these are conversations, and actually, I'm going to do a whole video, maybe a few videos on this one in particular, because it's definitely something that has come up in our marriage. But I just want to say that if you find that you're in a you avoid social situations with your partner, because it may always, or it can end up in a situation where it's like, he gonna embarrass you, or you gonna embarrass yourself, or everybody gonna be, you're gonna be busting out in tears because you feel like you don't know, you can't predict his or her behavior when you're around other people. So you just avoid hanging out with other people because you just don't want to have to deal with the fact that they are going to show their ass when you are around strangers. Okay, you might even find yourself in a situation where you are defending. Oh my gosh, I used to do this all the time with my ex, where I would just defend his behavior. I would have these hour-long or 2-hour-long sessions with friends where I would be constantly complaining about how bad it was. And then when they would say, get out, or he's an asshole, or he's this or that, I would just defend and explain away his behavior to my friends. If you're finding yourself to be having to explain away a behavior that you know is abusive, you might want to consider the fact that you might be with a person that is um, a gaslighter. Yeah, I mean, could be possible. I mean, of course, sometimes, a person might have a bad day, or they might be going through some things, but generally, if they act badly in front of other people, they're the ones that are responsible to apologize for their behavior and not you. And so if you feel like you're the one left hanging, holding all the pieces at the end of an argument or public outburst, then that might be a big, huge red flag that something is definitely wrong with this person. Trivializing is one of my biggest pet peeves. If you ever have heard your partner or someone say to, let's say hypothetically, wink, wink, to another person, oh, yeah, that's not that big a deal, or my gosh, why are you so sensitive, or oh, you're overreacting. If your emotions are not being validated in your relationship in public or in private whenever you voice a concern, that means that they are not really acknowledging that you are feeling a way about certain things. That also causes you to want to question your emotions and feelings, because you're like, well, am I being really sensitive? Am I making this out to be too much of a big deal? And then that causes more and more question in every further future situation that you're with that person. I'm just wanting to share these with you guys so that you can look at this, take some responsibility for this relationship, and decide to leave. Give the person the benefit of the doubt. If you have more than 5 of these things or 4 of these things in your relationship right now with your spouse or partner, it may be worth having a discussion with that person about. My experience was, and I'm not going to try to make him out to be the bad guy, because it wasn't like that at all. I have come full circle with this relationship, and analyzing and unpacking what it did for me. But definitely want to say that there was definitely some lack of clarity when it comes to getting to the bottom of how how I handled myself and how I handled my concerns in the relationship. There is such a thing as having a conversation for too long, and so you have to go in knowing that these are your parameters. Don't worry about their parameters. If these parameters are not met, respected, or acknowledged, then you might have a problem on your hand. And my suggestion, if that happens where your people are overstepping their boundaries and you try to have a conversation, look, I don't like you minimize when I have a problem. I don't like it that you embarrass me in public when I'm with people. I don't like that I have to make excuses for your bad behavior. I don't like that we can't go anywhere because you're such a fucking shithead that I don't know what to expect anytime we're in public. And I really, really feel like I have to be questioning everything I do because I feel like I'm never sure as to what's going on with us, and I don't feel comfortable about having to hold receipts and having to prove and overprove everything that I say and hear that you and I do. And these for these reasons, I feel like we have to end this relationship or reevaluate how we interact with each other. At this point, if you have had this conversation and you were able to list all six, was it six or seven? I'm not sure. I'm going to have to listen to this video again and find out. But if you can list more than four of these things in your relationship and you come to the point where you're going to have this conversation with the person, bear in mind that they are straight up. Possibilities are, Godmother's talking right now, they're going to straight up deny all of that. Second possibility, they may give you what you want for a couple of months, maybe even half a year or so, and then go back to what it is that they know best, which is gaslighting. And there might be two reasons for that. My reason was that my ex didn't know how else to be. That's what worked and worked best for him. And he also got a sick sense of pleasure out of keeping women on their toes like that. Truth be told, if you're out there listening, at that time, he could do it. He was young, good looking, lots of money. Any woman would have wanted to be in my position, and I should have been more grateful to have been in this position with him. But the bottom line is that I just wasn't. I was looking for more sustenance, and I played also my games. I'm not calling myself innocent here. And I was really confused because you get in this situation and you just get so blown away that you need a breath. Like I needed to sit down. Like, whoa, what just happened? And when that happened, I realized that I was really bamboozled. Yeah, it was really bamboozled. So he gave me what I wanted for a little while, then just went back into doing what he wanted to do, with the understanding that that would frustrate me into acquiescing into going along with how things were before, because I'd rather be with him than be alone. And that was a reality for me at a point in my life. Like I was either him or nothing at all. Or the person, your partner or spouse, might end up blaming you. This is a thing of accountability, guys. Maybe you may be one of the lucky few that end up in a situation where the person's like, wow, I can't believe that I'm like this. Wow, I feel really bad. The point is, in that situation, nobody, hardly anyone, wants to feel bad and feel responsible for the detriment of other people's feelings. And that's not in their MO. Like, they don't want to be that person. They don't want to have to say, I messed up. I'm sorry. I mean, regular people don't want to do that. So what makes you think that a gaslighter would even attempt to say that, unless, of course, there's something emotionally or remotely interesting and invested in them? Maybe the pride, maybe to save face. They don't want their friends to hear, oh yeah, she left him or he left her because she's a real jerk. They'd rather blame you. And again, guys, I'm not saying that you don't have a part to play in this, in your own demise. I am a huge fan of accountability and responsibility, and I believe that part of this is your fault. I wouldn't be a coach if I didn't say that. the great thing about it, knowing that this is your fault, is that you can undo all of this by just simply walking away. And that's the bottom line. I shed my tears for many years, and then I just moved on. When I realized that this is really what it was going to be, this is really who he really is, I had to first say to myself straight up, what the hell is wrong with me for allowing that in my life for so long? You need therapy. You are cray cray. Go get some help. I was like Dave Chappelle, run, bitch, get some help. No. I was at that point, yeah, 1 year passed, okay, 2 year passed, maybe things will work out. 3 years. When people, there's a very popular saying that my aunt used to adopt and repeat to me, bless her heart for sticking by me that whole time. Um, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Now, I don't want to get into some of the details because there is a level of honor that I want to have when I'm talking about these relationships. For those of you who might know me personally, you may know who I may or may not be talking about. But trust me, I have dated a roster of men, and you could just insert any name in there, really. I mean, at the end of the day, if you have a certain pattern of behaviors and you have seen this multiple times within your life, relationships, then this is a time to get your blessing, that this is a lesson that you need to get, to stop making this a lesson that you need to learn over and over and over again. And I look at it that way. So I have zero tolerance for this kind of behavior, but I'm at a better place when it comes to how to deal with it once I see it in other aspects of my life. All right. So I'm not saying that, it doesn't happen anymore, or that I don't see it anymore in other areas. When I coach people, when I interact with certain people, I understand that this is a very popular way for interactions to take place. And I hear it a lot from broken women and broken men. Broken men too. So it is all too common a go-to way of creating manipulation and control. And I feel like we owe it to each other to have better, wholesome interactions, because life is supposed to be beautiful, and our suffering is there for us to grow, not for us to continue to suffer. And so, yeah, that's gaslighting in a nutshell for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. This video, and that you will like, subscribe, and comment below, and see me again in the future. Denial, diverting, and stereotyping. Just for the records, I want to add these. Denial involves a person pretending to forget events or how they occurred. They may deny having said or done something, or accuse someone of making things up. We talked about that earlier, right? I never said that. I never did that. Then you got to keep your receipts. Diverting. With this technique, a person changes the focus of the discussion and questions the other person's credibility instead. For example, they might say, that's just another crazy idea you got from your friends. Right? So diverting. Oh, okay. So we're just going to talk about something else, change the topic, or just dismissing it with something like, you know, bad mouthing other resources that you have used to validate yourself. Stereotyping. An article in the American Sociological Review states that a person using a gaslighting technique may intentionally use negative stereotypes of a person's gender, race, ethnicity, sexuality, nationality, and or manipulate them. For example, they may tell a female that people will think she is irrational or crazy if she seeks help for abuse. Now, how many times have we heard that one? Therapy is not for Black people. We have the Lord. The Lord. The Lord. Self-help is for weak people who can't figure shit out and who just are too gullible to. Who needs a coach? What's wrong with you? Those things don't work. These people are just trying to make a quick buck. Hey, and the list goes on and on and on and on. So be very, very aware because gaslighting is real. And actually, I've actually done that. So, as a recovering gaslighter, because you get sucked in. If you go into a relationship with someone and you've been in a relationship with this person for over 3 years, you start to adopt this kind of behavior and make it your own. And then it becomes the way you interact with other people. That's why you need therapy if you have been in an abusive relationship for more than a year. It's just the way it is. I can't cut it in. There is no the Lord. There is no black gospel choir who's gonna just sing a song with you, and everything is just gonna. I'm sorry, I watched Aretha Franklin the movie last night, and I'm just really triggered right now. Sorry, Jesus. Bye, Jesus. Anyways, I just want to make sure that we are clear about those things. If you guys have any questions and you want to hear more about my gaslighting experience, please check out my story on Amazon. What the hell am I talking about? That I don't have an Amazon. I should have an Amazon now. On Patreon. On Patreon. It's going to be up live and in color for you guys as soon as I get everything set up with my website. It's going to be fabulous, guys. We also have a live show coming up on October the 30th. I think so. Yeah. I'm going to post the details of that. It's from the event Bright. It's going to be live and in living color. Tickets are on sale right now and they're limited spaces. So please make sure that you grab one for yourself and one for your friends. It's going to be off the chain. And I hope that y'all come and enjoy yourself. You're going to cry, laugh, have an aha moment, and just share the energy and experiences of all like-minded people who want better and more peace and joy in their life. So that is the bonus, the bonus, the bonus content for this video. And I will see you guys again. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the future.